And welcome to the fourth and hopefully last part of the series on the Heng Long Atlantic Yacht that I'll be doing. And in this last video I'll be showing you how I programmed the DX4s transmitter using its mixes, and there'll be a brief running video too. For me to have programmed this on one of my more advanced computer radios, it would have been pretty straightforward, but the main point of this video was to try and do a budget project using car radio control, which lots of people will have. So I've used the DX4 and I've had to make some compromises on the mixes to achieve the things that I want to do. So I'll just start off by actually showing you what the effect of all of this is. I have put some mixes into the speed controllers so that I'm able to, when I turn the steering wheel to the right, you'll see this propeller going, and when I put it the other way, you'll see the other propeller going, and you may just be able to see that the rudder's turning at the same time. This is the configuration in which the boat seems to work best. What I have done is I have also given myself the option of switching the mix to the speed controllers off, and I'm having to use two separate switches for that, and I'll come on to that in the programming in a minute. So if I actually turn those off, which in this case is pushing both upwards, we have steering independent from the motors both going forwards, and I do have the ability to make the motors go backwards as well. More on that later. Okay, so I'll take you through the programming of this transmitter next. When I first turn the transmitter on, you'll notice that this MOA symbol is showing at the top of the transmitter. That stands for motor over axle, because to make this mix work you need to use 3 mixes, and the transmitter only comes with 2 free mixes A and B. So I've had to use the motor over axle mix to give me the 3rd mix. So I'll just go through in order the things which I programmed into the transmitter, starting with the reverses. You'll see how everything is set into normal. On the travel, again, everything is set to 100%. Exponential, I've actually put 40% into both backwards and forwards on the throttle, and high and low on AX1. I haven't done anything with the sub trim. With the switches, I didn't program those, but they do get taken over. So you can see how A is for mix A and B is for mix B. That actually gets programmed in the mixes themselves. Now the mixing is where it gets more interesting. So in the throttle mix, I've chosen the motor over axle option, which is meant where you've got a motor on both the front and rear axles of a 4-wheel drive car, and I've inhibited these 2 options here. I've selected throttle to auxiliary 1 as being the mix, and then I've got this 3rd option here as being active with 100%. The throttle bias is off. This bias step is 1, which is the default, which I don't think it's doing anything, and it says here the switch is off. Moving on to mix A, I've got steering to auxiliary 1, where the B value is 0 and 0, and if I just get the right one of these, the A, and it's using switch A, which is the switch on the steering wheel towards the bottom at the back, and so I have a 0 and 100% on the A value, and on the B value 0 and 0, and the switch selected is A. So what that's doing is it's enabling me to mix the steering to auxiliary 1, which has got one of the speed controllers in it, only when the switch is at position A. Moving on to mix B, I've done a similar kind of setup, but the mix is between the steering and the throttle. And when it's in the B position, you have 0, 0. The switch is B, and when I pull it down, the values are -100 and 0. So what that's doing is it's mixing the steering to the throttle, but actually only in one direction. What I'll do now is I'll take you to the monitor, which shows you what's going on. Right, so when I have both of the mixers on, which is using switches A and B, what you can see is the throttle is moving in both directions. I'll just turn the boat off for a minute. So when I have both of the mixers on, which is pushing the A and switches down, you'll see how when I turn the wheel, the steering is moving left and right, but the throttle, or the AX1, which is where I've got the two speed controllers, is only moving in the forward direction. That prevents the situation whereby the props can move quickly backwards if I use steering. If I pull the throttle, both of them go up, and if I pull the throttle and do the steering, you'll see that it has some influence, but the boat will generally go straight on. So you have to slightly back off the throttle, and then what you have is you have a mix between the two speed controller channels for turning around a corner. If I switch both of them off, then we have the throttle and aux 1 going up and down with the throttle trigger, and we have steering completely independent of the two speed controllers.